I feel like talking my shit. I feel like talking my shit. I feel like talking my shit. I feel like talking my shit.
Thank you for joining 50 Shades of Red podcast. My name is Naomi and I'm your host. Tonight we're going to be talking about Blexit, which is the Black exit from the Democratic Party. Recently, Solomon, my co-host, attended Blexit Atlanta by force. And I know there are a couple other people here that have attended Blexit or are affiliated with Blexit. So we'll get to hear from them. But this discussion stemmed from a tweet that I posted that I ended up getting a lot of shit for, basically saying that Blexit isn't doing everything they said they would do. They're showing up, they're doing rallies like they're politicians, and they're leaving the communities. They're not getting Democrats. Whole point of the event. They're literally just bringing people that already agree with them to show up for optics and move on. So that's the general discussion we're going to have. Is Blexit doing what they say they're going to do? Are they even effective? That being said, we're just going to briefly introduce everyone. Solomon, you can go ahead first.
Yeah, I'm the co-host. I'm a libertarian, so then I go ahead and go next to Amy.
You can follow me on Twitter at @OverOutrage. Go by memes over outrage on social media. I consider myself more moderate with more right-leaning libertarian views when it comes to policies, limited government, capitalism. Definitely a fan of that.
Osiga,
you next.
All right. Hey, I'm Osiga, field director for Blexit, North Carolina. I'm a conservative, and you can follow me on all platforms at OSIGAH.
Anthony.
Hi, my name is Anthony Hager. I'm a moderate, but I've voted Democrat most of my life. But I do have conservative views, and I live here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Protocol.
Yo, what's going on, family? It's your boy, Protocol. I'm conservative, liberal in a sense. I don't gangbang, so I really don't pick sides. But there are things as far as monetarily that I focus on the conservative side, and then being Black, there's definitely some liberal things when it comes socially that I kind of lean with. So I basically kind of move along what's good for the people, what's good for myself, and to make sure the person ain't full of shit. That's where I'm at.
Okay, Shabar.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Shabar. You can find me on Twitter at Shabar McFadden, first and last name, at Gmail. It's kind of easy. I've always been conservative, but, starting out voting, I was pretty much Democrat because, growing up in, inner cities, that's just the thing, unless you come up in a family where they got conservative views and you vote conservatively. But I've been blessed with it, actually, and I voted for Trump in 2016 and definitely going to vote for him again. But that's pretty much it. I'm very much conservative. And I'm registered green,
though. Okay, cool. KK.
I'm a conservative, but kind of like Shamar, I was, raised with conservative values, but in terms of voted Democrat most of my life and everything like that, but realized later on in life, like morally, I don't align with liberalism at all. So I'm starting to vote my conscience more and not just how I was indoctrinated as a child.
Okay. And I think the perfect person to kind of start this discussion off with is Osiga, since you said you're the field director for Blexit, North Carolina, right? So go ahead and just tell us a little bit about where you think Blexit is right now in terms of effectiveness.
All right, so I'm in charge of the City of Charlotte division. So basically, what Blexit is, our goal right now is not to tell somebody who to vote for. We're just telling people that to make sure their vote is earned and no political party or group is entitled to their vote. What it does is it gives somebody's vote more power and it holds politicians accountable. So like let's go into like traditionally like blue districts or red districts. If a politician knows that he'll win his election no matter what, he doesn't have an incentive, to really, get things done in the community because he knows he's gonna have his job forever. But if he knows his job is on the line, if he doesn't do something, he's gonna have to, actually put in work. And then you see communities like these, eventually communities where a politician's job is always on the fence come election day, they get better over time. And communities who don't, who just vote one way no matter what, it kind of digresses over time as well. So that's the point of Blexit, to tell somebody to earn their vote. We're not telling you to vote Republican, but I will admit that we do kind of endorse and encourage it more because 80% of the black vote traditionally goes Democratic. Also, we do also want to like bring in more people like from the urban areas, kind of like to let off the light bulb in their head. Like a lot of people, like a lot of conservatives like us, we used to be Democratic until we realized we're more conservative than we think we are. And traditionally, black folks we conservative. So I mean, that's the whole spill on Blexit. That's what we want to do, and we're working on that now. It's going pretty good.
Okay, cool. So who wants to follow that up? Anthony?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Well, what was it? Thursday night they had the event in Atlanta, right? I can't remember what day it was. From what I saw,
It was Sunday.
It was Sunday.
It was Sunday, right? My memory's bad. I'm sorry, y'all. But from what I saw, it really is in my opinion, it's a conservative movement. It's not to encourage people to not vote for either party. It's really for to get black people per se to vote for the Republican Party. Because even you got Brandon Tatum, you got Candace Owens, you got King Face, all these guys, they're talking about basically vote for Donald Trump in a sense. But at the same time, they would contradict themselves and say, hey, we're not telling who you to vote for. We want you to be free. But if you read between the lines, vote for Donald Trump 2020. That's what it's about. Then one thing I noticed too when I was at the Blexit event, they held it in Buckhead. I don't know if any of you guys been to Atlanta or been in Atlanta for a long time. I've been here almost 16 years. And Buckhead is a more influential white area. It's rich. That's where Lake Small is. You got your Gucci bags, Louis Vuitton, Lamborghinis are driving down a Peachtree. It's a very which here, not to say that black people are not in that area. Black people do live in the area. But if you want all classes of black people, you need to go to places in Atlanta like College Park, Camp Creek, the AUC, which is where Clark Atlanta Morehouse, the Spelman and Clark is, Edgewood, Peter Street, Auburn Avenue, where black people are, and even Decatur, DeKalb County, Lithonia area, that's where black people are. And I just found it funny that they held this event in Buckhead where the people they're supposed to be outreaching to are not there. And then I noticed too, when I was there, I saw a lot of white people there sitting in the seats. Of course, in the video they show in the front, because I used to work in TV and film. I used to work with the camera. So they do, like for example, I worked one of these years, a couple of years back, I worked at BET Hip Hop Awards. The actual auditorium itself, or the Civic Center in Atlanta, was half full. So the cameras only pan the front to make it look like it's really full with, a certain, mostly black people. But if you look at the whole thing, you look at the back and stuff like that, you'll see a lot of white people sitting there as well. So I just think it's, I think it's just it's really, in my opinion, I think it's a sham. That's it.
Go ahead, Ani.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting point and everything. I wasn't at the event, but I saw everything on social media and on YouTube, and I watched the speakers and everything. And about everything and not being packed with all black people and stuff. Blexit, Candace Owens, everything that is also associated with Turning Point. And Turning Point USA is also, and Turning Point UK is also has a very large white audience as well. So I mean, and you got to consider also the fact that when it comes to black conservatives who are open and blacks who are open about leaving the Democratic Party and open about Brexit, there's still not that many, considering it's what, the second year now? Is somebody correct me if I'm wrong?
Yeah, technically, it's, the first one was surprised, but
really, yeah. So I mean, it's only the second year. So I mean, as time goes on and there's more, maybe next year, who knows? It's probably maybe it will be more and more black. But for now, I think it's pretty normal. I don't think it's weird to have a mixture of Turning Point audience and Brexit audience and the few, again, open black conservatives that are actually out there. I don't think it's weird.
But to go off what you're saying, and Osika, tell me if I'm wrong. Brexit actually have distanced themselves from Turning Point. They are not affiliated technically anymore because Turning Point didn't even promote that there was a Brexit event. So I think they are they were the same last year when they first came out, but now they've kind of separated, and I think they want that separation because that's what a lot of black people were saying. Oh, it's just another Turning Point thing. When in reality, it's not. It's a black exit situation, and to kind of go off what you said, there's not a lot of black people, but that's where outreach comes in. You can't sit here and say, we want black people to convert to this, that, and the third, but not go get the black people to show up. I mean, it's not that hard to give black people free food and an event, and they'll show up. I mean, that's not the issue. The issue is no one's going into the communities. They're going to Buckhead, like Anthony said. They're not going to the HBCUs and saying, hey, guys, we got something going on. I know it might not be what you're normally used to, but just come. You're educated. You might be open to this and explore it. There was this guy who is on Twitter, and he was the only one that went to HBCUs to talk about Brexit by himself with a camera alone. And I was like, if he can do that individually, why isn't other people that are higher up, kind of like you, Osika, taking that initiative to say, hey, 20 of us, instead of going to the mall with MAGA hats, let's go to HBCU and let's educate some people or see if they want to come back with us and just watch a little bit of it. But then that kind of is counterproductive because what I've seen on social media, Candace Owens is showing her fucking wedding. What does that have to do with Brexitting? Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I would have walked out.
I understand where you're coming from. Now the thing with Brexit is we do reach out to everybody as far as black people from like different cities and in Atlanta itself. Now I would say that's why we're growing in what we call our chapter divisions. And our first chapter ever started in North Carolina. Very soon we'll have about 20 more by the time 2020 rolls in. So these chapters' responsibility would be to tell us how the local areas are. For example, we wouldn't know, like Buckhead or DeKalb if it weren't for, a native. Let's say we had our chapter in Atlanta already established. They would let us know, before we come to town. So we're going to improve on that, I'll admit. We also had many things to improve on from, our speakers, from the type of speakers where we had, because we were even about to have Will Witt over Kingface. But I came in and said, we need to switch it up. We need to have more, relatable people. So we'll get better than that. Brexit, like we're getting better. Like, Candace, she listens to what people have to say and she improves on it quick. She works like clockwork. I would say that. So all everybody's criticism, even on social media, she does take note of that. We're all very alert and we're a very open team, and also the Atlanta event, I would admit there was many, white people there, but we had many amount of black people, even some people that we got to come from the mall the next day. Now, keep in mind, let's not lie. 80% of the black population, they vote Democrat, so they're not going to come out to that event. And plus, politics is not very popular.
But that's the purpose of it.
I understand. But,
so if you know they're not going to come out, then why even have a Brexit? Because I'll give you an example.
We still make the effort. Listen.
Yeah, no, you make the effort, but it's kind of like it's falling on deaf ears because there's no correlation. Like here's Brexit, here's Black Democrats, and then here's your little rally. But there's no connection between the three. Protocol, go ahead. Unmute him.
Okay, cool. Kind of just want to piggyback on a lot of what was already said. As far as like the event, I personally thought it was a good event. It was quite a good bit of white people there, but I think it's because it's like it's new to them to really see like, dang, these people really willing to step out and say, okay, I don't want to be on the Democratic Party. Like I got to see this, you know what I'm saying, with my own eyes. That's kind of what I realized with that. But there's like a lot of black people who are, you know, it took that to see, okay, well, this is in Atlanta. Yeah, it was in Buckhead, like you were saying, but at least they took the initiative, you know what I'm saying, to come here because they already know. And there's a whole lot of resistance here when it comes to Democrats versus Republicans. So they took the initiative. They came here. They did it. Maybe I can, you know, step out and see what's up. You know what I'm saying? I've been feeling like y'all as far as the HBCU situation. I've been DJing at a HBCU, was it 2019? This is 13 years. And since I voted for Trump or been vocal about Trump since 2016, you know, a lot of people have, because I'm DJ, because I'm OG Protocol, they're like, all right, dude, you was with us with Obama both times. Now you're saying Trump. Like, what the heck is going on? Like, you're the smart dude. Like we watch you make moves. So like, what's going on? And to sit down in groups with them and red pill, as we call it, some of them catch it. They won't come out and say, well, hey, I support Trump, or hey, I support conservative, or hey, I don't even want to be on the Democratic Party anymore, you know what I'm saying? Or just committed to one party. I want to take this time to say, okay, you know, I'm going to take a break and find out what's me, or take a break and realize what's going on with politics. Because a lot of us don't know. We follow what we were told by our grandparents. We follow what we were told by our parents. And that's just the way to go. And if we were to, you know, step off of what everybody does as a norm, you know, they'll get ridiculed. Me personally, I'm used to being ridiculed. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been different, whether it was when I was bigger than everybody else in grade school, or whether it was because my parents had, you know what I'm saying, more money, or more situations than other people. Like, I was always messed with. So for me to be like, well, hey, I'm not going to be just cow-tied to being a Democrat. I want to see what's going on. I want to support Trump. I want to support these policies. To me, it really don't make a difference. You know, it only bothers me when somebody, you know what I'm saying, if I tell them how I feel, you know, oh, well, you're a coon, or you're this, or you're that. Well, why? Because I think different? Like, nah, man, this is my reasoning. Like, if you can't respect my reasoning, which is fact, then we got a problem. And I think that's something that a lot of us can't separate, you know, which is why we won't come out and say, okay, well, we don't want to be Democrat, or we won't take a Blexit to the AUC, which I felt the same way. Like, dang, why wasn't this in the heart of all these HBCUs? But then I thought about it, man, we probably have the biggest fight on our hands, and it wouldn't even be, you know what I'm saying, what we were working to fix, because all the media and everybody is going to run with is, hey, it was this unified fight. You know what I mean? Like, Blexit versus all the HBCUs. And, you know, that's something we got to work on getting accepted. So,
I mean, but we're going to get to Kincaid. But really quick, before we get to Kincaid, I'm Union. I think that, and someone else said this to me on Twitter, that Black people are not ignorant. We are educated. So to say that, you know, we only still vote Democrat because of our parents, it's kind of like an idiosyncrasy at this point. It's 2019. We're educated. We have Google. Okay, it's not an excuse anymore to just be naive. And I don't think that and I'm a conservative. Like, I love Trump, but I don't think it's conducive to where we're going to say, I'm going to attend this rally, but it's basically a Trump rally, but we want to give you options. Then where are the other options at? You know, that shit, for me, from an outside looking in, I attended a Blexit event by accident. I ain't never going to attend that shit again unless it's major changes. So I won't say never, Osiga, because I think you guys are going to probably change it for the better. But go ahead, Kincaid.
So, I mean, we got to just think of this as in terms of its levels to it. So Blexit just started. It's like if you're a performer and then you're performing inside dive bars, and then you have an audience, and then all of a sudden the audience builds up, people become aware of you, and then people jump on. One of the sad things about the African American community, a lot of times we don't support people until you got something to show for it. You know, it's like the game is sold, not told. So a lot of times with groups and anything like that, we don't even support them at the organic level. You will have a bunch of white people who know hip hop on a way back level before Black people, because we catch it after they first popping out. So Blexit is looking like the same thing. What I appreciate about Blexit is the same thing I appreciate about Obama. A lot of people mad at Obama because they said Obama got in office and Obama didn't do anything for black people. But what Obama did was Obama lifted a cloud off black people's brain and was like, okay, if you play the game right, you can reach the highest level of power within the United States. So with Brexit, it's the same thing. I mean, Brexit is not going to appease everyone. It's not going to be a situation to where it's just going to be a straight black event to where it's speaking to all black people. But what it does is it makes people aware that you have options. And that's all that matters really is just let's be strategic and let's act like we have options. If we continuously vote in one direction, one way, they never have to give us our way, or they never have to quid pro quo with us because they know for sure we're going to vote. No matter how they treat us, we're going to vote a certain way. So as long as we're aware that we have options and this is what conservatism is and this is what it presents to us, then now we have two options, and now you have to win our vote. So if you have to win our vote, then certain things are going to have to get done in order to gain our vote. So I think that's what Brexit is, really. I'm not expecting Brexit to be just a all black event. I don't mind having white people as allies because we're only 13% of the population. So for us to gain any type of power hold or anything like that, we're going to have to deal with white people, Latino people, whatever, because we're only 13% of the population. So with white people being there, that's cool with me.
I think, though, right? I get what he's saying about having allies. My point is, and it's one of those things when we talk about Brexit and we talk about what's the objective, what's the goal, right? It's okay. It's like I said, it's kind of sort of like if you play the sport, you got home court advantage, right? Then you understand if I'm trying to get fans to come see me who already support me, that's pretty easy. The problem is we're not going to try to get anybody else. You understand what I'm saying? So to me, the major problem that I see is it's not about because like I said, when you talk about the allies that we have who would be white people, right? We don't have to go, we don't have to convince white conservatives to back us. You understand what I'm saying? It's the other 90% of black people that we should, in my opinion, be targeting. And even some of these white liberals and things like that who are not just completely far out there and at least sit down and listen. To me, those are the people that we should be trying to at least not even convert. My point is a lot of people, and one of the major issues that I've had with Brexit, and I've said this, and I've been vocal about it for a long time, is when you say, even when I remember when people were talking about they were leaving the Democrat Party, right? Leaving to go where? You understand what I'm saying? So it's like we can say, oh, we're not pushing people to go Republican, but if you're not voting Democrat and you're not really, and I get that people say all this stuff about free thought, I don't see that because in my opinion, a lot of Brexit things, a lot of things that were even said at the event are anti-Democrat. And the one part that I'm trying to say is we don't have to be anti something to open the door. What we need to see is what can we meet on the same level of, because we're not going to agree on everything. And it's not about agreeing on everything. It's about saying, okay, if we start talking about these quote unquote hot button issues that we don't even affect anyway, like abortion. If we come at liberals or we come at black people and the first thing we want to talk about is abortion, close that door because it's not going to be open. You understand what I'm saying? It's so many other topics, but in my opinion, the new conservative wave is to come out being very anti-Democrat, very, you've been doing something for so long, it's crazy, all these different types of cliches that we like to use. But me, I feel like I've been doing this a long time. So when I hear a lot of conservatives say, hey, look, you've been voting Democrat for 50 years, what have they done for you? I'm like, well, shit, if you was a conservative, you don't want your government to do nothing for you. So that ain't even nothing that we should be using against people that vote Democrat. My whole thing is, can we open the discussion, take some of the toxic way that we interact? Because in Facebook, in live interactions, it's like my goal is this. Is your goal to piss off people? Because sometimes that's how I feel. I feel like your goal is not to open up a level of communication. Your goal when you go out, when you want to try to do some sort of outreach, your goal is to go out there and say, who can I piss off today? It's not to go ahead and try to extend and say, let me talk to you about conservatism. It's about trying to piss people off. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we're getting much better at that. Like I say, the reason why we, tend to target the Democrats is because 80% of the black vote goes to the Democrats automatically. That's why we come at them. Now we have, lightened down our rhetoric, our, quote unquote pro-Republican rhetoric, to just be black exit. And, when we say leave the Democratic Party, we're not saying, go automatically Republican. We're just saying to think for yourself. So to hear both sides of the story, like for example, if a couple fighting and you let one person, one of the spouses tell you their side of the story, you don't listen to the other, you're gonna miss out some things, right? But if you listen to both, you can decide like maybe who's right or wrong, and you could figure out from there. Same thing with the Republicans and the Democratic Party. Like the black community, we don't get two sides of the story. We get Democrats, and the Democrats all our lives they'll build the stereotype on Republicans. Like it's like how we gonna let a Democrat tell us what a Republican is, and in the same time, how we gonna let a Republican tell us what a Democrat is? It's like we never put them side to side because one, you automatically gonna see we grow up seeing a Republican as close to the KKK, like Republican, racist, Republican, not for us. You see that automatically, so that it is brainwashing in their brains. That's why we come at the Democrats, especially for doing that, especially things that the Democrats are doing. Like people, like we literally overlook abortion. We literally overlook welfare. We overlook 60% tax by the time we in about 15, 20 years. So that's why we come at that. And we just want to get people to get both sides of the story.
Right, but don't you think that, and this is my opinion, don't you think that if that's what you're saying, then it's like, for example, if we have two fast food restaurants, one McDonald's and one is Burger King, right? If I'm McDonald's, I don't have to go knock Burger King. I just say, look, this is what I have on my menu, right? I don't have to go out and just down the other chain for you to come to me. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is to be able to go to Clark. That's what I'm saying. Wait, hold on. If you want to go to Clark Atlanta, if you want to be able to open this chain up, and even like I said, it's about, let's say if we had 300 people at an event, right? And you got 10 of them to change their mind or at least be open to listen, that's still better than nothing. So my thing is, it's not about you have an event with 300 people and 225 of them do a Blexit camera interview after the event. It's like you want to see some Twitter like, hey, yo, I went to the Blexit event tonight. You know what, man? Maybe these black conservatives ain't as bad as we thought. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? Where they're actually not this tweet, man. I went to this event tonight, whole bunch of cool. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's happened. We've had some pastors and ministers reach out to us. They liked it, seen a live stream. We've had certain students come out and say,
but of course, pastors and ministers are gonna like it. They're conservative in nature. They don't count. But you're reaching your demographic, young audiences.
I want to give Shavar a chance to talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, Shavar was blessed with it, right? Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I'm actually I don't really know anybody from Blexit personally. I kind of tapped into like who the hell else out there is thinking like me, and I stumbled across probably Candace Owens after Angela Stanton, and when I started hearing her talk, I'm like, oh. Candace, she pretty much is on what I'm on. But like me not being able to attend any of the events because I'm in New York City, I definitely extended the invitation because I'm in college right now and I would love for, an event to take place at my college, which is Medgar Evers. I got my own programs there, and every class that I'm in, most people are anti what's going on that's, very conservative and what I think would be beneficial for me and my people in my community, and especially from the way that we think that's not beneficial to our or conducive to our future. So, as far as me watching the most recent Atlanta Blexit event and understanding that, I see the ticket sales the same way anyone else could see the ticket sales. Like she's literally trying to sell these tickets to whoever can come or want to come. But for the most part, when only some people is really in tune with it, you're only going to get a certain amount of people to show up. And those are the people who are active. And I'm pretty sure if it turned into 1,000+ people, it would have been a different event and it would have catered to answering certain questions from people who kind of was outreach to, but most people, like, they still don't get it. So I get why it's like, yo, you should, leave the Democratic Party, because just that and third is like, this is what's going on with, like, it's like a lot of the views and the beliefs as far as like with the abortions and stuff like that. I get what you're saying, Soji, about, well, what are the options? And it's only two options, but the main option is we've only got real two parties right now, and it's gonna be like, which one are you gonna vote for? Either this one or that one. The one that we've been always voting for kind of really is doing us in, and especially the message and where we're going right now is with the far left and what they pumping. Is like, we can't nowhere in the world take that, because like they really killing us in every which way. And at the end of the day, if we just Brexit and not take on who Kingface and Candace and Tatum and all these other people that's actually in Brexit, they like the president. Let's say I didn't like the president or I didn't want to vote for him. The other option to Brexit would be for us to form our own thing, but right now it's in the infant stages, and like it kind of is what it is for right now. But for the most part, yeah.
All right, yeah, no. See, this is one of those conversations where I feel like we should ask a simple question. All right, we have, I believe, one person on this panel who said he votes mostly Democrat, and he said he pretty much is. So I'm asking this question to Anthony. So my question to Anthony is straight up: why would you either A, not lead the Democrat Party, or not? I'm not saying like you always would vote Democrat, but what is your main reason? Not saying like you have to be a part of the movement, but what is your main reason for not switching? What has Brexit and conservatives or anybody not done that you feel like they're trying to appeal to you?
I would say one of the reasons I probably wouldn't vote Republican at this point, man, because for one, I can't vote for a party that I don't see myself in. When I look at, for example, right, when I see the House versus the Republican House class that came with 2018, right? It was 2018 with Ocasio-Cortez and all those people came in. Right. If you put a picture side by side of them in there, the Republicans and the Democrats, there's more representation of black and brown people in the organization. And then at the same time, you have this party that claims to be super patriotic, pro-America, America first, but yet you have people in the party that defend the Confederacy that wants to enslave my people, but at the same time they use this rhetoric, the Republicans freed the blacks, which is true, which is factual, but and then they deny they deny the history of ideology switch between Republicans and Democrats or whatever. And it's just, I don't see any outreach. I don't see Republican Party coming to the neighborhood knocking on doors. When I do community service events in the neighborhood, I don't see conservatives really coming out.
In their defense, they did hire me as their coalition outreach director, the GOP. I think that's a statewide party thing. But I'll even say from my experience briefly working with them, they didn't want to put the money there. And they basically said to me, we want to call it, we never had one in Pennsylvania. We want one, which would be you. Your job would be to go ahead and outreach and see where the disconnect is between minorities and the party, right? Which is great. Yeah, let's do that. But then it came to, well, these people don't really show up to vote. So should we really be putting the money in your salary to go try to get them to vote when they majority don't show up? And I was kind of like, well, they're never going to show up if we don't show up for them. You can't just come out pandering, saying, come out and vote for me. We haven't done shit for you in over 30 years publicly. A lot of people go off what they see in the media and surface representation. And then you have people in the Democratic Party that I know personally that go and get crackheads and put them in a car and go take them to vote. So we're not doing that. But I'm just saying, like, maybe it's time for us to be in the streets without a suit on, with some sweatpants and shit, like, y'all, at the churches that support our values, like giving out food, you know what I mean? And maybe wearing a little button that says we're Republican to show them like, look, we are out here in the struggle. We don't all look like older white men, okay? That's not what we are. That's not the representation that we want to put forward anymore. Protocol, go ahead. I know you wanted to respond, Anthony.
I'm basically, I mean, you pretty much said it all. That's real spill. Just being, like I said, I vote mostly conservative because I'm a businessman. I negotiate on a daily basis when it comes to my job. So I know what it is with going to the table, getting what it is that I feel like I want and need, using it, you know what I mean, and moving forward. We're not used to that. I'm a legislative counselor, and this may blow a lot of people's mind, but I'm a legislative counselor to a Democrat elected official here in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And he moves conservatively. We were just talking earlier, and it's like, man, I noticed, this is him speaking, how he noticed how the Democratic Party moves in Georgia and what they do and how they, they're good at outreach programming and waving, free food and stuff in front of our people. And that's what we tend to run to, as it was stated earlier with the event. And, they flock to that. So when you have Republicans who, for the most part, are scared, what I'm saying, keep it real, they're scared to go in the hood because of, what was already mentioned. We see them, we think, KKK, we think racist, they're not for us. Why am I going to put myself, in a freaking rabid dog pen wearing a steak suit? You know what I mean? That's not smart. So that would be up to us, the Naomis and the Osagas and the people who are willing to say, okay, you know what? Look, I look like you. I think conservatively, and this is why. Yes, we might not have had, oh, I'm going to give you this food stamp increase bill, but I did give you this here opportunity zone to where you got a plan for a job. Guess what? If you start this business and you employ 4 people and you keep this business running for 5 years, right? I'm going to defer all your taxes these 5 years, and I'm going to give you this cut, you know what I'm saying, for opening this business. So now you don't have to pay this to us. And
really
you can
quick
take this extra
protocol.
money. Mm-hmm.
To kind of just, before we get to you, Kincaid, I just have a really brief follow-up question. Because on Twitter, and I'm not going to mention their names, Anthony followers and them, be like, the people that was represented at Blexit, like everybody keeps bringing up King Face, is not a good look because people on Twitter consider him to be a coon. And why is he a coon? It's because, from what I gather, this isn't my personal opinion, is all he does is wear, fake MAGA or MAGA, whatever. He wraps himself in the flag, and that can be perceived, I'm not saying it is, but it can be perceived as doing it for attention rather than doing it for like personal and moral belief. I'll give you people like Sharice's boyfriend, Pierre. He reps his gear, but not like that. And people kind of put Pierre in a box like, you can tell this man lived his life by these morals and beliefs. He's genuine. He's not doing it for attention. Whereas then you have the king faces who want to dress up everywhere they go and be loud and say it. So do you believe that there are some coons in here, or whatever word you want to use?
I can't honestly, because I've dealt with both of them. I'll talk to Face, you know what I'm saying, pretty often. I can't say that I would call him a coon or anything. I think he's very vocal. Like he's a street dude. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those loud street dudes. I know those type people. So for him to, awaken, if you would, and see the light and decide that, you know what, just as vocal as I was about blood, I'm going to be vocal about this right here because I see what it is. So I can't do nothing but respect that.
Just the perception of Black people. It's like, we not all hood. You know what I'm saying? I'm in school for my MBA. I have my bachelor's degree. We're not all looking for free handouts or anything like that. Like I'm in Houston, Texas, and the thing is, we have to send people with life experiences like Black people who might then came from up and coming areas to reach out to the community, but you can't look for them to come into our neighborhoods and do outreaches and stuff like that. It has to be us that believe in those conservative values to go into those neighborhoods and tell them why those conservative values are important. Because I grew up in Detroit in the inner city, went to an inner public high school, everything like that. If someone came to my neighborhood and was talking about conservatism and and they were a white person, then we would have just curved them. We wouldn't even have shown up. So it's going to take people like us to go in and build up our own base based on conservative values, and then we then form allies and connections to whoever we're going to vote for. It's just about building up our own thing, because us trying to say, hey, why haven't you guys came into the community and did this and this, that's not going to work, because even the Democratic Party, you say like, oh, they're all about equality, they're all about equity within the party, but the main front runners for the national election is two old white men, a gay white woman. So you know what I'm saying? They just it's lip music. It doesn't have anything to do with us at all. So it's all about us becoming strong within our own communities, building up our own base, and then demanding what we want to see in return.
Period. I mean,
hello?
Go ahead.
I'm good?
Yeah,
you good. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so about King Face and everything, I was watching some of his videos and his speaking and everything at Blexit, and from what it seems like, I obviously don't know the dude personally, but from what it seems like, King Face is probably just a really passionate dude, and if from what his background is and everything comes from the streets, people in those kinds of environments like to rep what they're passionate about. So if he's now passionate about Trump, and which is really, really brave on his part, especially coming from where his environment is and where his background is from, him going out and wrapping himself in a Trump flag or whatever, or wearing a hat, that's no like little thing. It's not, I wouldn't necessarily consider it cooning more so than brave, I guess. And it also does start that discussion, kind of like what you're saying, because if a black person in that area sees red, they're not going to see the MAGA first. They're just going to see the color red. And when they read it, it can open up that discussion. Because I'm sure at that point, you don't want to fight. You didn't want to fight King Face until that point, unless you saw MAGA, if that made any sense. So finally have that discussion and kind of open up. And I think it's really important that when it comes to Blexit, when it comes to all of this, I feel like inclusion with everybody is really, really important. And I know it's not the most popular belief amongst conservatives and amongst this group. And I kind of forgot to mention in my intro and everything, I'm registered independent. I'm very in the middle with a lot of stuff. My views are kind of social a little bit, but when it comes to kind of lost my trail a little bit. When it comes to King Face and everything, repping Trump and doing all that kind of stuff, I think it's a good thing. It shows a variety, not only to white people, but to other black people. If you put, me next to King Face, we're clearly different. I grew up in Sacramento, predominantly white area. Obviously, I talk Rudy, whatever. Like, we're different. And I think it's good to see a variety, a diversity amongst different kinds of black people in this movement and everything, so that, people amongst, what's a good way to say it? So, within black people and stuff, like even within the black community, it's kind of divided already as there is. So if you want to categorize different kinds of black people and stuff, you could have somebody, again, put me in King Face, and then somebody like Anthony, somebody like, we all have our different ideas and beliefs and stuff. And I think that people who think, say, like me, or are from my background but are still black, and then people who are black who are from King Face's environment, or Naomi, I think that it's good to see everybody represented. So people who are like us, who are different but the same, could also come into this group and have that discussion a little bit more, and kind of.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Solomon, do me a favor, unmute everybody. So to kind of wrap this up, look, personally, I don't know King Face personally. I don't really care to know him. Correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony. I know you'll probably agree with me on that. Me and Anthony watched this nigga live one day. Anthony, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it really, what he said on live, and this was recorded, it might still be up there somewhere.
I supported the right party, and I got everything. I think you should follow that path. I mean, you're losing. You've been losing your whole life with the way you've been going. So why wouldn't you follow a nigga that's winning, you dumbass? That's how I know you niggas are not intelligent. You're too emotional. You're too emotional. If you, like, you guys are like, oh, he's only famous because he wore a MAGA hat. Well, then why don't you wear a MAGA hat? So you could be famous too, dummy. What are you, dumb? That is dumb. If I seen a nigga get famous off of wearing a MAGA hat, the whole world know who he is now off a MAGA hat, well, why wouldn't you wear a MAGA hat?
Can I say this? I knew he was, this is my opinion, I said, I believe he's fake with it because before me and Naomi watched that video, I watched a few of his videos, right? And I basically retweeted and made a comment on his post of what I said, bro. I said, I know a hustler when I see a hustler, bro. And the next thing you know, this cat followed me. That confirmed to me. I'm like, yeah, bro, you know what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing.
Like,
yeah.
and my thing is, I get what Ami was saying, that we need the different people. We do. We need the representation. But it only works if it's genuine representation and not putting on.
Now, let me say this too. When we were at the Blexit event in Atlanta, right, he gets on stage and said, hey, I want to thank Candace Owens. She brought me down here. I had $0 in my pocket. But if you follow this dude on Instagram, he drives a Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
Come on.
He just was in Cali with his donation money.
Come on now. You got a GoFundMe, bro.
And that's kinda, I think Anthony posted this. He said, Only Candace Owens conservatives have GoFundMes or some shit like that. You're a GoFundMe conservative. And I'm just like, oh, no, the iconic, I'm a new conservative, send me money, white people. Like, that puts us back so much. Like, I fuck with Kincaid's Twitter because Kincaid don't post no shit like that. Like, he be like, generational black wealth, conservative values. I want to make money long term. We gonna have a family unit, you know, like.
Yeah, so I do know King Face personally. I'm actually probably the reason why he was brought, to Atlanta. I actually switched him out for another speaker, because I wanted somebody who was more like blatant a little bit. His message, it does get through to people, and as far as like him being from New York, he's gonna get a lot of backlash, for his support. So the way he does it is he retaliates by like, wearing his gear, supporting Trump more. Now, as far as the hustle, that's left to him. I mean, as an American, he has the right, to try and monetize.
Come on now, bro.
All right, hold on, because we got to end. They're gonna cut us off. So thanks for joining us. I hope you guys have a good night and stay tuned for our next episode.